one of the greatest challenges of our time. Close to 1 billion people are affected worldwide, and this is from 2019. And all of you know that COVID only made this problem much worse. And today's estimates are probably a quarter to a third higher than what we saw in 2019. WHO predicts that half of everyone in the world at some point society. Psychological is, can we change the thoughts to control thoughts? Maybe think of happier things. It's more like positive thinking. And social is, can we manage jobs and relationships? Can we manage the environment around us? To be truly sustainable, which is what this session is about, I think the traditional approaches have to be sustained with holistic approaches, which are not usually identical. More about this in a bit. And finally, instead of thinking of mental health as just maintaining and managing the jobs and relationship, think of it as a spiritual quest, right? Realizing our peak potential. That is really what, next slide, please. See, powerful cognitions go beyond positive thinking. They go towards transforming beliefs. Many of us tend to grow up with very limited view of ourselves, not due to our own faults. It's because the world is as capable of, but we are capable of extraordinary things. So a powerful cognition would be something that alters how you see yourself. Like the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism said, we are not human beings striving for a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings enjoying a human experience. If you look at yourself that way, as a spiritual being, then you don't think of yourself as being limited by our humanness, but actually liberated by our humanness. So it's a different way of looking at yourself. Next slide. Great. I'm going to now
through this university. This has been reawakened through our chancellor, who I'm going to talk about in the next slide. And this offers thousands of free programs online to the global community. There's a large, diverse team of faculty, campuses all over the world, and many, many millions of people have benefited from the teachings of Nityananda Hindu University for all the people that are living there. He's also revived many dimensions of Hinduism, the powers of Paramashiva, the scriptures, temple rituals, and lifestyles for enlightened living. Has revived the sacred arts university that has created 1 million deities for enlightenment ecosystems to use worldwide. And there's more than 16,000 KAILASA ecosystems functioning that provide many services to their members and the communities around them, including Andadan, giving food, growing agriculture, healing service, interact. And then we're positing that it also can extend to consciousness, and that how we experience our mental health is going to be a reflection of our mind and our body and our consciousness. So some of the programs that have been brought by Swamiji are going to have tremendous effects at the cellular and physiologic level. And then I'll be talking about those researches that have been done, and then how it shows up in the mental health of participants. So the first topic we're going to talk about is cellular effects of mind-body intervention. So this was a 3-week program called Inner Awakening, again organized by Swamiji and run directly by Swamiji. Involved activities like yoga, meditation, initiations, which we're going to talk about what that looks like at the EEG level, a sattvic diet, the science of completion, which we'll talk about as well. And participants' blood were drawn before and after. Some of them would have already been part of this enlightenment ecosystem, would have already known Swamiji, and some of them would have been new. So basically, gene expression change means the DNA may be, or may or may not be, but even if it's the same, the way the genes are being expressed is changing remarkably to tamp down inflammation and to support anti-aging. So you should be less stressed and more young, right? That's what we'd expect at the level of the organism. So based on that research, and this one was studied, the first one was published in Advances in Aging. The follow-up study was published in a journal called the Journal of Stem Cells. And based on the study, they said, let's look at telomerase activity, and let's look at peripheral blood stem cells. Telomerase is an enzyme that works to keep the cell surrogate for cellular viability, which is specifically a product of mitochondrial metabolism. So mitochondria are the organelles inside the cell that create power for the cell, energy for the cell. And so their metabolism was increased. This is actually not a typo. You see it's 967% It's not a typo, it's really true. Basically, tenfold increase in mitochondrial metabolism. So you would expect that to show up in a massive surge of energy. So when you put together at the cellular level a huge program, some of the people in the program had already done similar programs and taken the initiations, and some people were new. So it was a combination. It was a convenient sample because it's through an online program, and then we did a paired and unpaired analysis. So here's what we found. So the total score for US average, total score is around 18. A higher number means more depression, more anxiety, more stress. So you want a low score in this. For the participants, the score was already much lower than average initially, which may reflect that some people already had taken initiations and were involved in the mind-body approach to life. But afterwards, it dropped all the way to 6.1. Average is 18 to 6.1, a huge difference and improvement in people's feeling of mental health in connection with this program. The next, we looked at the WHO-5 Wellbeing Index. So this goes from 0 to 100, where a higher score is a higher sense of well-being. Less than 50 is going to correlate with depression, was seen. And the last one is mindfulness. This looks at the ability to be present. So this gives you a score from 1 to 6, where 6 will be the most mindful, means completely in the moment, completely present. This is a space people aspire to be in. With Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam. So I'm going to talk about a few scientific studies. First one is done with, I'll go as quick as I can, but it's so valuable and so important. I want to make sure we cover things. So Dr. Krishna at a Jim Thorpe Rehab Center in Oklahoma did PET scans and noticed heightened activity in the frontal lobe that he can create at will beyond normal human. A PET scan measures metabolic activity in the body structure being studied. A variable called heart rate variability, which shows variability within the heart rate that reflects the autonomic system and how at ease someone is. You could say it's very complex. We don't have time to go into it further. But the key finding is because he said there's almost no activity on the electrically. There's very little activity, which we will posit will correlate with a low thoughts per second, very little mental activity. Again, their whole brain of that person would go into a high gamma activity. So we're positing that this is how an EEG of initiation looks. When a being who has attained this state of consciousness, which I'm calling as a super consciousness, that's a goal of Vedic traditions, yogic traditions, Hinduism, and they transmit it to someone they're healing or a disciple, and this is extremely unusual. It seems as if his brain was changing with hundreds and thousands of nerves in the brain was being rewired. So again, it's a really remarkable thing. One thing that I'd also say is in the ashram, they've done again, when Swamiji is doing initiations to his disciples or people visiting his ashram as well, he puts their brain in gamma waves, high amplitude gamma waves. If you're like taking a quiz, doing a task, if you're at work doing a task that requires your mental activity, it's 13 to 25 hertz. So you'll notice this illustration doesn't have gamma waves. Part of that is because gamma waves, people didn't even know about them until relatively recently, because you normally cannot see them on a normal EEG. They were normally detected with something called a QEEG, where you take a computer and look at the raw data and see tiny little, very, very low amplitude up and down high frequency waves that you can't really see with your naked eye, but the computer can calculate them. And they've been shown traditionally in everyone's brain a little bit. When people have a stroke of insight, so if we're looking at Alzheimer's prevention, which is a huge global issue, gamma waves, I think, are definitely something to look at. And they're currently working on devices using sound and light to sort of reverse engineer that state. We would posit that it can also be created through spiritual activities and mind-body interventions. The last group I'll talk about is long-term meditators. These were Tibetan Buddhists that have been meditating for 10 to 20 years, like their whole lifestyle was meditation. Like monks that would meditate for 6 hours a day, or a huge amount of meditation. This came out in 2004 by Dr. Davidson in Wisconsin, a really breakthrough publication. When they're developing this capacity, which means this level, which we're positing as a space of super consciousness, very high level of consciousness that correlates with concepts of enlightenment that have been talked about throughout history. This level, this capacity are yogic shaktis that are beyond the scope of this presentation. But while doing these things, they'll describe a very low TPS, which again, TPS is thoughts per second, means completely quiet mind. And their whole sense of space will be just completely spacious and unclutched. So we're really excited about this. I think it has tremendous significance for humanity on many levels. And we're excited to research it further. So we'll be connection to higher consciousness, yoga pada, yoga and pranayamas and meditations and kriyas. We'll be doing all of these experiential in this presentation. And then knowing pursuit of powerful cognitions means knowing yourself as a very powerful, connected being that is worthy of having this life experience and can express this life experience. And one thing that I think is connected all throughout the world
are all filled with anxiety. And this meditation personally has helped me calm myself down in a moment of stress or anxiety, or in a moment of indecision. I don't know what to do, right? And I want to have clarity of mind. Too many thoughts are running in my mind.
I'll just put the whole unclutching in one line. Listen. Be. Compare. To the unclutching process. In the initial level, you may be a little deluded here, there. Pure unclutching.
Yeah. One thing I want to say, we're going to give you a few minutes just to go through this unclutching. It's a great experience. I think it's really worth seeing that how simple a process can really bring your stress levels down. So you would see that. So just close your eyes. We're going to play music for a little bit, and then just keep unclutching. Every time a thought comes, just unclutch without engaging with it. Please play the music. Peter, we're not able to hear the music.
it's playing here. It's just
But understand that even those are thoughts. And next time you try this, unclutch from those also. And when you start unclutching from those thoughts, you will start listening to more of your inner sound, like your breathing becomes more visible to you. Sometimes the blood pumping through your heart becomes more audible to you.
So next slide. So the plays a very important role in regulating mood and cognition, not only through activity of certain brain structures, but the gut, in a sense, is the second brain. It has a very extensive nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and there's a communication between the brain and the digestive system, which is two-way, which is really important in mental health. And it turns out lifestyle. Many studies have been done on depression, looking actually at the brain structure. So we've seen that brain, like MRIs show that there's actually atrophy or loss of brain cells in important areas of the brain, areas which regulate memory, learning, and emotion, like the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, which is really important for attention, planning, judgment, impulse control, the orbital frontal cortex, which is important in regulating our emotions. And it's not only about us, but it's how we bond with other people, how we interact with others, so social attachments. It turns out pain processing pathways are negatively impacted in depression, and one way is maybe the cingulate cortex. And even our ability to empathize with others are affected due to loss of brain cells in the cingulate cortex. Imaging studies show, for example, some brain white matter pathways or tracks which are negatively affected in depression. We can move on to the next slide. So what has been really, in a way, groundbreaking is that initially we thought that brain cells, we have a limited number of brain cells or neurons, and once they're gone, in practitioners of yoga. Areas like the insula, superior temporal gyrus, occipital gyrus, and cerebellum are important for emotional awareness, processing of language and speech, as well as empathy. So being able to empathize with others and relate in. Now we can move on to what we found in practitioners of meditation. So they have been studied structurally, but also functionally. So we have functional MRI studies which look more than the brain structure. It looks at cortex is activated, is an important brain chemical called glutamate is released. And this then sends a signal to another part of the brain called the hypothalamus to release beta endorphins. Maybe you've heard about endorphins. These are chemicals which give us the sense of a euphoria or bliss, and may explain why many practitioners of meditation experience a sense of bliss during their meditation. Also, imaging studies have looked at the thickness of the cortex. This contains the brain cells or neurons. And it turns out these are thicker in various brain regions listed there. These are regions that are important for emotions, that meditators at baseline have a higher level of serotonin. And it, in fact, further increases after a meditation session, which is very interesting. They also tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety. And they've been shown to have increased amounts of dopamine as well. The dopamine is the brain chemical responsible for the feeling of pleasure or reward. Interestingly, studies in both yoga and meditation practitioners have shown that they have lower levels of a very important hormone called cortisol. This is a stress hormone after, and looked at a brain chemical called GABA, which is very important for regulating our mood and reducing anxiety. And they showed there was a significant improvement in the amount of anxiety and depression that they were experiencing before and after, to the point that many were no longer depressed.
Affects what happens in the brain. So the next question comes is, how can we impact the gut in a best possible way? So, the whole food plant-based diet, which is called sattvic diet, which basically comprises of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, and least amount of unprocessed food and meat. So this is what whole food plant-based diet is. We also call it sattvic diet. So what essentially this just goes over a few things. Microbiome in the gut plays an important role in the gut-brain axis, as I talked about. And it produces neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, glutamate. And microbial composition is crucial. Some contribute to good mental health and others are detrimental and it names few of the bacteria. And also it has positive impact by regulating taurine, cortisol, metabolic pathways, and short chain fatty acids, reducing stress and anxiety. And last thing I already told, the whole food plant-based diet. The next.
Well, you can go very quickly over this, Pandav. I believe we have a video and then a discussion, so you can go very quickly.
Oh.
Inside your system along with it. There is no biomemory going inside. Pure energy food, only that goes inside. But with the animal, the muscles have a capacity to store muscle memory and biomemory. So when the animals are killed, they leave a tremendous pain, suffering. They are not going to say, let the whole world be blissful and die. No. They leave so much of suffering.
Okay, now we'll have a very quick summary and very brief discussion about some of these lifestyle choices that support healthy gut biome and improve mental health.
So in summary, we've seen that the brain physiology through functioning, structure, chemistry, and gut health are crucial for mental health. And lifestyle changes are critical and sustainable and objective sign health. In other words, reaching our full potential, mind, body, and consciousness. So I'd just like to open up the discussion now to also Dr. Pandav and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji. And maybe we can just...
Energy level up. And it has effects at physical plane, mental plane, emotional plane, spiritual plane. That's what I found. So the least is, you lose weight. And but other than that, so emotionally you feel much better. You feel much lighter. Your energy level goes through the roof. And the last, your meditation deepens like amazingly to a deep level, in the sense that you're not doing meditation, it is kind of happening to you. So it's a different state to be in.
Quieter. People around me noticed. I mean, even your skin will start to glow. You'll even appear younger. People would comment on that, wonder what I was doing. And so I definitely also experienced those.
After that, it's completely gone. I don't take any antihistamines. I'm completely, and after that I did 2 times of Rahara. Even with the first time, it disappeared. I thought this is, it's being a doctor and being an anesthesiologist using all the time antihistamines on patients. And it was so good. And I used to tell everybody, about the Rahara Samyama. This is my personal experience about that. And then
because we are running out of time, I'm going to go through this very briefly. But what Dr. Aranke and others like Dr. Pandav, all of them discussed, is that it's a simple change in lifestyle can lead to an amazing improvement in mental health, in physical and mental health. And part of changing lifestyle is not only practicing stress. So it's a very easy technique. Sit up straight and roll your tongue, and just put it outside of your mouth just a little bit, so that your tongue is sticking out like this. And then deeply inhale through your tongue and then exhale through your nose, right? Like this. How many of you feel that deep cooling happening in your chest? You actually feel it there, right there. It's such an instantaneous, just long to breathe out, then breathe in. So count breathing in 10. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close your lips, or 7, that's also okay. Whatever makes you feel relaxed. Typically, breathing in, the alternate nostril breathing actually makes you feel quite relaxed. Okay? Let's move on to the last technique. The last technique is called Brahmari Pranayama. It's an amazing technique to clear your mind of when you do that, hum as long as you possible. When you take another breath and hum again, very soon you will see that the hum is coming, and that will intensify the hum because the sound hums inside your head, and very soon your entire head, your chest, your body will start humming along with you like this. This humming is a very intense exercise. Great. So these are things you can practice pretty much anywhere. And these are all revived by Swamiji. Swamiji has taken all these ancient techniques and then put them in modern contexts. In fact, search for these techniques along with Swamiji's name. You will see a whole bunch of what are called kriyas. Kriyas are a combination of visualization, yoga postures, and also breathing techniques. When done together, they actually have very high scale, and millions need help with anxiety, loneliness, and depression. But the primary challenge is lack of access to resources. And it's like the people who are in poverty, the people who really personalized without storing personal information. And if you have availability, like access to a phone, a smartphone, you probably can get access to these services. It can be as easy as accessing mail or WhatsApp, for example, available on the screen. And it's a great, you have to sign in for you to get access, but it's an amazing resource that is available to everyone. This uses the entire spiritual resources of the world, especially the teachings of Swamiji. Swamiji is essentially teaching the fundamentals of enlightenment science, or the science of happiness, as taught by Hinduism. So this Nityananda.ai has the entire access. You is under your control. Being integrated is all about being integrated to your thoughts and actions. Enriching is about making sure others are in this state of enlightenment along with you. And completion is what I define. Sister to spend time with me, I feel disappointed, and she wants to do things that are different from me. What do I do? So this now addresses how to think about this in a self-reflective way, how to introspect into the source of where this challenge comes from. Why do you feel unimportant? Why do you think your sister should do what you want to do, right? And encourages open communication, understanding that this next section is about asking for yoga and meditation.
And a pelvic surgeon from Los Angeles. We have been enjoying last more than an hour of learning so much about mental health, wellness, and holistic approaches. It's my turn to talk about women's mental health issues, incident causes, solutions, and understanding the unique challenges and holistic approaches. Reproductive health issues like polycystic ovary, endometriosis, infertility can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression. Gender-based violence, women are more likely to experience domestic violence, sexual a year, and 217 million days of work lost. It's a big loss of work, and more women are seeking help but failed outcome. The treatment methods are making people dependent on medication, and more medication, it becomes a vicious cycle. So when we look at the modern day approaches for treatment, it can be varying from psychotherapy to hospitalization, depending on the severity of the mental illness, where transcranial magnetic stimulation can be used for depression. Sometimes hospitalization when women become danger to themselves and others, and also it's an expensive way of treating mental illness. So many of these current treatments primarily focus on symptom management rather than addressing the underlying jurisprudence. Says where women are worshipped, there the gods rejoice to the welfare of humanity. On the other hand, where they are not honored, all rights are futile. The second one by His Divine Holy Women here. So the political empowerment. Paramashiva declares in Atharva Veda, women should take part in the legislative chambers, put their views on forefront. So women hold 80% of leadership positions in Kailasa. Core indigenous cultural aspect of Hinduism is being revived as part of Kailasa by Swamiji is the mother worship. The matrilineal society that used to exist in ancient Hindu nations. It's very important to know in Kailasa, women are worshipped and revered and have a secure sexual harassment-free ecosystem due to its zero tolerance. Nityananda Lakshmi, the world's first Hindu microfinance project for women. Here it gives the economic freedom to find employment. Kailasa's Ankita program is an educational program. So it's mostly educate female. The next slide.
Only feminine.
Yeah, I think it's a video to be played. Let's hear from Swamiji, his powerful message and a description of a woman by him.
Energy can be given the word. Only feminine energy can be given the word, given the title sacred, because when it is awakened, it does so much in you. Unfortunately, see, if it was handed over to women, it would have been completely family-based civilization. So naturally, everybody would have had their basic needs. All the basic needs would have been supplied to the whole world.
A dimension of myself that we realize, and also that I want to give a true statement here to all the viewers and listeners to hear that I'm well known for my surgery in my hospital and where I'm to bless every woman all over the world. And here, the science of completion, it's one of the solutions for all mental disorders. It's a meditation technique based on the science of enlightenment revealed and taught by His Divine Holiness. And it works, prevent and treat all kinds of mental disorders, not only for women, it's for everyone. It relieves unresolved emotions and past traumas, building resilience and improving healthy relationship, and leads to an empowered life. And there is a short video, listen from his powerful words and transforming message to all.
For their food and paying the bills. No, maybe it is true for the people who are sitting in Kailasa and enjoying the happy, free life. All kinds of thought currents will come inside. Sit, have a little patience, listen. Listen to yourself and start pinning down precisely what all resistance, anger, fear, guilt, powerlessness, what all is getting and making you completely complete and making you manifest powerful cognitions and powers. Till I appear in the mirror, continue completion. And I tell you, I will really appear in the mirror and make you complete and make you manifest powers. When I say, I mean. Just sit in front of the mirror and declare simple integrity to me. Start patterns and incidents, root incidents, everything. Let all the incompletions melt down, be completely burnt away. You will see in your pure inner space and in the mirror me appearing.
Now we invite Dr. Patel to come talk about children and mental health issues.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sailis. But some of the unique challenges for children, which includes physical, emotional, and social changes, adversities such as poverty, abuse, exposure to violence, pressure to conform with peers, exploration of identity, and so forth. So can we have next slide? So based on this alarming number, we know that conventional approach have not been enough to based on narrow rubrics. This mind-body consciousness-based education empowers children and helps them feel powerful. It encourages students to travel, discover, invent their own methodologies, and take leadership roles in visual, motor intelligence, and maturity. In second phase, recall phase, which is recall phase, students need to remember all the images of previously drawn without seeing them. The recall phase reflects students' visual recall intelligence. And the tests were performed on 75 students, and the results showed an average percent 2 to 6 years ahead. So that's really impressive numbers. So this is small studies. Of course, more studies are needed. But in summary, can we have next slide? This gives anecdotal evidence of integrating Hindu education system with conventional education at an early age in children, leading
to be able to stay. But just briefly, it's our conclusion that this mind-body model that we've been discussing and these lifestyle model we've been discussing for mental health treatment would help the UN achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Really, many of their goals would be achieved by adopting this lifestyle. At NHU, the Nityananda Hindu University, we aspire to be a world. Peter Bloomfield, my email, and Sri Mukta Ananda, his email as well. They're both posted at the bottom. Also, policymakers for children's mental health, we invite you to contact us for collaboration for how to incorporate this approach to traditional education and for further research. And then, of course, shall I play the video, Mukta, or do you want to speak first?
Yes. Play I think, like I said before, kriya is a combination of yoga positions, yoga asanas, breathing techniques, and visualization. And Swamiji...
Heart, for example, liver, kidney, or heart, intestine, at some part, if there is a disturbance in this energy circulation, that is when you start developing diseases and disorders and disturbances. Disease, disorders, disturbances expresses itself
different parts of the body. Let us take the example of a water tank. A water tank is a structure which stores water. This water is distributed to different places through the pipelines, which forms a circuit. The pipelines end in outlet taps through which the water reaches the end users. Similarly, the Kundalini energy reaches the different parts of the body through the 72,000 nadis or energy channels. Let's say, for instance, there is a block somewhere in the circuit of pipelines. Then what happens? There is no flow of water. Energy flow is re-established. Energy starts flowing and the disease is healed.
Now, if your body is put in certain position, that energy blockages get removed. The energy circulation, that plumbing, gets properly aligned.
Asanas and pranayamas.
Even for few seconds, if the energy circuit route is aligned and energy is pumped, you are out of the disease. You are out of the disorder. You are free. These kriyas are not just ordinary asana, ordinary yoga postures, are 7 ingredients. 1, yoga. 2nd, kumbhaka, pranayamas. 3rd, visualizations. 4th, verbalization, means chanting of some mantra internally. See, internally when you create the sound,
Shall I start the music and then you'll announce the kriya?
Yeah, I can just walk everybody through the kriya. It's actually, the kriya has 3 steps. It's a kriya for hypertension, which also relieves. Do we have that in the slide?
This is the last slide, Mukta.
Okay. I think we need to bring that picture. If somebody can add that picture to the slide, to the next slide, that'll be great. So you have to sit in a special posture. It is not very difficult. It is, you sit with your knees drawn to your chest, your right nostril, breathe in through your left nostril, and then close your left nostril, breathe out through your right nostril, and then breathe in again through your right and breathe out through the left. This is one cycle. Do this cycle for 21 times. Let's start with that. That's the step 1. Step 2 is this picture. Sit like this picture, holding your knees. You can play the music too, Peter. Thanks. You will start focusing more on the music and the sound outside of you. Unclutch from that also. When you unclutch from that, you will start hearing your own body sound. Open your eyes slowly and pause the music Peter. Peter, you can pause the music. Thank you. Great. Great. Thank you all. I really appreciate all of you for coming. Peter, I hand it over to you to wrap up.
Yes, thank you so much, Mukta, for your beautiful job, and thank you to everyone who made it this long. We really appreciate you coming. And again, just a last invitation for people to join the Parameshivaham program or contact us at Nityananda Hindu University about research collaborations, funding collaborations, anything that you want to collaborate with. And we really believe that